touch on your skin. The love is right. Let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. And it's worse you thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I think it's absurd. But until then, you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling. You say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh, darling. Oh, you have reached your lover's end. No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for.
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pioneer from Racing TV, and we come to you for round number 3 of the GT Invitational at Dragon Trail Seaside. And we are live on all 3 platforms: Black Flag Racing TV, eTeamHARD Esports, and of course on the GT as well. Just showing you how. Anyway, moving swiftly on. We are at Dragon Trail Seaside today. This is a phenomenal racetrack. One of my favourites actually. It is a fictional circuit based on real place, of course, in Croatia. 5 kilometres, 5.2 kilometres, 3.2 miles with 17 corners. Essentially, it's a triangular shape, but it is quite complex, and it's based around very steep hillside. So lots of undulation, lots of steep climbs, and also steep drops as well. There's 3 hairpins that make up of that track, but they're not what we need to worry about. It's the 3 very distinctive chicanes. All approach very, very different, particularly the chicane of death. We'll cover that at some point, which should start very shortly. For those of you who've not seen the GT Invitational before, each round sees the top 3 from the previous round carrying ballast, just to slow them down a little bit. Don't know how you slow these guys down, but Pagani is carrying 60 kilos after a win last time out. Joker with 40 kilos, and Nicole carrying 20 kilos of ballast, just to weigh down their cars just a little bit. 10 minutes of qualifying coming up very shortly. That'll be followed by 2 races. The sprint race, which sets the grid for race number 2. The feature race. Sprint race is 20 minutes on soft compound tyres, and then a choice of soft and medium for the 40-minute race straight thereafter. And that's loud and clear, which would be awesome. I'll tone down the track. It's just a little touchy touch. Don't want to hear them over the top of me. Well, I hope you don't. Maybe you do. Who knows? But there we go. Right, so we'll have a little run through who we've got out there today. Nicole in the Corvette C7, he's carrying that 20 kilos of ballast. Pine in the Corvette C7, as they're all checking in ready for qualifying. I'm still going to go back to this. Yeah, obviously we didn't see it last week, but there is one. Already did the sprint race, which was so busy. Generally, big chance to will be done. So Pine in that Corvette C7. We've got Lee from ETH. He is in. Lee's in the FT1 VGT. Lee Cole carrying 20 kilos. He's also in that Corvette C7. Apologies, final silent. Incredibly professional. Not the first. Joker in the R8, as is Pagani. Pagani carrying the full 60 kilo whack in that R8. I've got anybody that can make the R8 work. I find it so hard to drive. Beautiful looking car. Who else? We've got Dusty Fossil. He's in the Jaguar F-Type. We've got Giotto in that Corvette C7. Quite popular car. 458 Italia for Mick Astley and CCSPK. Zomla also in the Corvette C7. We've got Drox. He is rocking. What's he rocking? Drox is rocking the 458 Italia as well. And that's it. There's your 12. So I think without further ado, it is time to dive in to some qualifying. How would you fancy that then? Let's get on with qualifying. Good evening, Jay. How are you? Another. So here we go. We're with Pagani. He's out on track in his R8. But we'll do it on board in a minute. think we're going to do in the meantime is have a very quick look at the current standings. That's how we look at the moment. Pagani top of the tree, 156 points. Joker and Nicole coming in second and third. Just a point between them. 144, 143 for Nicole. Dusty Fossil has 1, 2, 3. And he's got Lee and Nightfire, all the three ETH drivers. He's separated by only a couple of points. So not some cracking rise fingers. Thick Dane at 107, leading level with D-Rox. Also 7. Amar Bruce Lee, 105 points, just 2 points behind. And then Giotto on 80 Pine, only on 72 points. But we know how super good he is in that one. Never giving up, Nick Astley on 70. And Zoblar, 67 points. There we go. That's the current lead. Here we go. Let's get on board with the guy for a lap around this course. Head across the start-finish line, sticking to this left-hand side. You've got the first turn here, turn 1, little right hand kick, no lift off, stay on the power. You're looking for that 100-metre board on the brakes, turning in quite early, clip the apex, and then you can use the power to just drag you back out, but not too brave, just feather it through until you've got the car straight. You head up the road, the first little right-hander here, you lift for there, and then you get on the brakes for the first of the 3 hairpins here at Dragon Shark. Then you start to see the track really drop away as you head down this hill, round the little right-hand kick, and a little lift here. This is important, you get the car straight up correctly, and then you can stay on that power all the way through this twisty downhill section as you hit this little which instrument really dips into hairpin number 2. Really hard on the brakes into here. You want to get this apex as early as possible and use that wide road to get on that power before it takes you down to a double chicane section. Chicane number 1, pretty simple, flat through. Here is chicane of death. Get the lift off early, get it turned in. You're better off sacrificing a little bit of speed through there to not be going into that wall. Absolutely. Final corner, again, down to second gear. You want to leave it until the car is nice and straight. You get on the power, up the hill, towards the start finish line. There is your lap time. That is pole for Barney. The 1:36.963. There we have it. Pine joins him on that front row, just half a second back, 37.4 for him. And then one Joker, currently second in the championship, immediately puts himself on road 2, just 2.5 tenths. Nico carrying 20 kilos of ballast. Now bear in mind, remember Pagani is carrying 60 kilos. 60 kilos of ballast. So that time is absolutely. Lee Cole is just 500, behind Joker on row 2. Drops from Portugal on row 3. He's got CSSK, or the fat game, he is just 1.3 half second from Zoblar. Dusty Fossil and Lee both in there on row 4. Nick Astley and Yocto on row, row 5. Lost count then. And I'm our Bruce Lee, way down on time at the minute in at Aston Martin, currently in 12th position. Pagani the man to beat as it stands with that absolutely fabulous 1:36.9. Let me fiddle around with this, Paul. Maybe if I move the mic a little bit closer, how's that? That's better, isn't it? That's better. My buttons have been fiddled with. There we go. For some reason I've turned it down, I don't know why. Someone probably told me I was too loud before. There we go. Anyway, we are louder, apparently. I don't know why, it's just my mic is very temperamental. It's not bad mic to be fair, so maybe I just need to be nicer to it. I don't want to move it too close because last time I did that I really broke the mic when something mental happened in I think it was at Watkins Glen. It went absolutely mental at the end and then he broke the mic shut. So, no change out in front at the moment. That is Pagani in that Audi R8. He hasn't improved on that 36.9. That was a phenomenal onboard lap we got with him. But Lee Cole has closed that gap. He's shaved 0.7 of a second of his time. Not gone sub 37 just yet, but he is a 37.0 in that Corvette, which is not too shabby. He only needs to find Dusty Fossil. That went horribly wrong for Dusty Fossil. You can't park that there, mate.
You can't park that there, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite temperamental, Paul. So if I breathe on them, they seem to turn. I have got, to be fair, I've got a mic stand for it. I missed it about 3 months ago when I said I really, really needed one, and I haven't actually fitted it yet. So it's just to prove I didn't really, really need it at all. When I did, I just haven't bothered to fit it because I'm lazy. So there we go. So, and straight away Pagani proves that, Pine proves that Pagani isn't just the fastest man out there by far. And Pine with a 36.0, phenomenal lap from Pine, putting himself on pole position. Pagani got a lot of work to do. He's going to have to find 0.7 of a second to get himself back on pole position. He is still on the front row, but I tell you what, slipping and sliding all over the place like that is not going to make you faster. It looks pretty darn cool, but it doesn't make you quicker. Lee Cole, 0.3 of a second behind Pagani, currently front of row 2, and he's got Joker for company. The Fat Dane, CSSDK, he is there in 5th, rounding starting row 3 with Giotto for company. Drox, the Portugueser, he is just ahead of Lee on row 4. Mick Astley on row 5 with Zomla. Dusty Fossil, who we saw facing in the wrong direction just a moment ago, a lap ago in fact, is currently in 11th place on row 6. Alongside eTeamHARD, Bruce Lee. Ding. I need some kind of music on a soundboard for that, don't I? Yeah, I might get cracking with that this week. There is the man of the moment. There is your current pole sitter. There is probably this lap and then one, well, maybe 2 hot laps left in these cars. So there we go. Yeah, definitely. As long as he doesn't make a mistake, of course, there will be 2 hot laps in that. Pine doesn't improve. He's actually nearly 3/10 down on his previous time. Pagani doesn't improve on his 36.7, which did improve actually on his pole position lap, but he did it after Pine had absolutely demolished pole with that 36.0. Lee Cole currently in 3rd still, 36.9 for him. Puts him firmly on row 2 ahead of Joker, 37.1. So just the 3 drivers thus far, that's Pine, Pagani and Lee Cole, who have gone sub 37 here at qualifying, in qualifying at Dragon Trail. Get it right, Andy, you absolute nut job. If you like your racing, a couple of great things coming up this week. Tomorrow, it's the eTeamHARD approved mini challenge. Absolutely phenomenal little series. Everyone in the Mini Cooper S, the new one, not the old one, with the identical tune. And the way it works is this is 3 15-minute races back to back. The first race is set by qualifying, the rest set by grid. The winner, or the top 3 in fact, of race number 1, then have ECU restrictions for the remainder of the next 2 races, which of course are reverse grid. That closed the field up until it was a great racing last week. The funny thing is, actually last week was supposed to be week 2. Week 1 there was a catastrophic worldwide GT7 crash and we didn't get to go ahead. But really good turnout at Scuba last week. We've got that coming up again tomorrow for round number 2. And the brainchild behind it, Stormfly, is back from his travels to compete in that. Looking forward to that, and I think we might see 1 or 2 of these guys joining us for that event. And then we've got something really, really new on Wednesday. It's basically a daily showdown. So we're taking daily race B, and we're sticking it in a 4-hour lobby. Races every 20 minutes, back to back, on the hour, 20 past and 22, back to back with one-shot qualifying followed by a 10-minute race, and it's just an opportunity to race with the daily race settings but without the absolute melts you find in the daily races. Drop in, drop out, do as many or as few as you want, and we're going to broadcast it all live and see how that pans out. It could go horribly wrong, but I think it's going to be an absolute fantastic series, and you get to see a number of different cars and different drivers and different styles, and I for one am really looking forward to that. But qualifying done, and Pine is your pole sitter after putting in that phenomenal 1:36.0. That in the skip, that's a phenomenal lap around here. There's no two ways about it. Pagani, he rounds out that front row, locks out that front row with Pine, carrying that ballast as well. That's a great lap from him. Doesn't improve with that 36.4. He improves his own time, but doesn't improve on his position. Lee Cole, he is on row 2 with a Lee. That's a great lap chucked in by Lee there in that Supra. It's essentially a Supra. Let's not pretend it's anything else. He's ahead of Joker and the Fat Dane, 5th and 6th. Yotto, he's already given up on the lap and decided to sit in the pits and wait. He's on row 4 with Drox. Zomlar and Dusty Fossil on row 5. eTeamHARD Bruce Lee is on row 6. And I think we've lost someone. Who did we lose? Did anyone notice? It would have required me paying attention that we lost someone. I can't remember who it was. We've definitely lost someone though, because I'm sure we did have 12. So yes, someone has already fallen by the wayside, unfortunately. Is what it is. Connection problems are probably one of the biggest bugbears of sim racing, I suppose. I suppose that's the next big breakthrough to try and solve, isn't it? To guarantee connectivity. But there's so many different factors involved in staying connected. Similar to when you're racing in actual racing cars, you've got so many factors with keeping that car on the road. You don't necessarily have so many of those factors here with sim racing, but you do have factors of equipment failure and internet failure and all that kind of thing. So there's always that to consider. There we have it. Let's get the lobby back on. We'll take another look at the current standings while we wait for the race to begin. And it was Mick Astley that we lost, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, he said he's never going to give us up or let us down, and he did both of those things. He is back, so I think he'll be starting from the back of the grid. But that's how it stands with the current leaderboard. Pagani couldn't get the job done and go on pole. He is going to have to make his way at some point in these next 2 races. He's going to have to try and get himself ahead of the current pole sitter, and that current pole sitter is Pine. And Pine, at the moment, Pine GTS is down with 72 points, but he did miss the opening round, and without question, I can tell you now, if you haven't seen this guy race before, he is super quick, so do not count him out at any stage. But we've got Pine, Pagani, we've got Lee Cole, we've got Lee on row 2, one Joker, CSS, Yotto, Drox, Zomlar, Dusty Fossil, eTeamHARD Bruce Lee, and I think we're waiting for Mick Astley to return, maybe. He is returning by the looks of things. But there we go. So that's your current leaderboard. Anyway, moving swiftly on to get rid of that. So, Dragon Trail. What can I tell you about Dragon Trail you don't already know? It is a really cool track. And you can see the majority of the turns are to the right. The left-hand turns are mostly part of complex chicanes. And you've got 3 complex chicanes, and you've got 3 heavy braking zones in the 3 180 hairpin turns, which make up the 3 points off the triangle. The biggest challenge here are going to be obviously getting through the chicanes. You can't go through those side by side. You're going to have to pick your moments. You've got a couple of really long straights, both uphill and downhill. That's where you need to get tucked in behind, use that bit of slipstream, try and get your overtake done into the braking zones. But it's not the easiest racetrack to overtake, and it looks like there is a technical issue because the lobby has been closed, so we're going to wait for the lobby to reopen. I really do need to prepare something to kind of to cover you guys, some sort of, I don't know, not advertisement so much, but some sort of entertainment to cover these little technical issues. Just talking about technical issues as well, and there we go. Bang on straight away. Technical issue hits us for 6, but it is what it is. Right, yes, just waiting for the new lobby to return. This is where I earn my money. I've got nothing to talk about, and I'm going to waffle. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, actually. I don't publicly normally do things like this, but I want to do a big shout out to the spinal team at St George's Hospital in London. Those of you that, to be fair, I have talked about this before. My daughter had very, very serious spinal surgery a year ago. She basically had her spine rebuilt and had titanium rods put in and all that kind of thing, which made major surgery. She's had a few issues with loss of signal to one of her legs and stuff. Anyway, she ended up at St George's today, and the spinal team were absolutely phenomenal. The A&E there, the A&E did not want to relinquish control over my daughter's care to the consultant until the consultant came down and told them that he was in charge, and they didn't know what they were doing. And yeah, so things are back up and running. We know what we're doing, and things are solved. So yeah, big shout out to those boffins over at St George's Hospital in Duty. Made famous, of course, by 24 Hours and A&E for anyone that watches TV in the UK. For any of you watching abroad, I don't even know what channel it's on. I think it's on Channel 4, I think. You can find it on More 4 if it's available in your country. There we go. Filled, and we're back in the lobby. Back in the room, guys. Back in the room. It's going to be set by host now instead of set by qualifying, because there was clearly some sort of issue with everybody getting back in the room by the thing, by whatever was going on. Zomlar, this room is now a little more royal. I wonder if he's actually royalty or if it's just a claim. Well, to be fair, I'm not actually a pirate, so not necessarily. Well, I could be. I just need a boat. A boat and one leg would, I suppose, go some way to making me a pirate, wouldn't it? And it'd been hot. And it'd been hot. I don't know what country you're in, but I'll tell you what, it's been bloody warm here. Today actually has been thankfully a little bit cooler. Just the edge has just gone off of the heat, which is always a good thing. Especially if, like me, you work out in it for the majority of time. And don't get me wrong, you know, in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, when it gets freezing bloody cold, I'll be doing nothing but moaning about how cold it is and how rubbish it is working outside. But because I'm British, that's kind of what we do. Yeah, so there we go. As I said, I need to find something entertaining for you guys in between these quiet moments. We talked about the racetrack, so we know what's going on here. I suppose we could go on board with somebody practicing. Let's go on board with Armar Bruce Lee. He's normally flitting around the back. No offence to him, but oh, that was interesting. There we go. Obviously not taking it very seriously at this stage. I think we must be having some problems with getting him back in the room, although it looks like he may have made it now. There we go. Mick Astley is back in the room, so I think the grid is now going to get set, ready for this race. So we talked about the format. The format is essentially we've had the 10-minute qualifying. That's done and dusted. We've got a 20-minute race ahead of us. Carrying ballast is Pagani with the 60 kilos, Joker with 40 kilos, and Lee Cole carrying 20 kilos of ballast into this race. And the race is now about to begin. And one of my buttons is not working, which is a bit of a pain in the arse, but there we go. So into the race we go. I hate the fact that I have to do this every single time. I want to turn this off, actually. I'll turn that one off. Here we have it, rolling start. Not a fan of rolling start. I quite like the grid start. It's a bit more, although it does protect people into turn one, which is always important. Here we go, race underway. Pine leads them away up towards turn one. Everybody slotting in behind. You won't get too many moves into turn one with a rolling start, which I suppose that is the big benefit of it, is that you don't get bull in a china shop moments into the first couple of turns. And here, a little sidey from a couple of drivers there. Let's have a little looky, see if we're gonna. Yeah, we are. Sometimes you don't get the replays if the lobby has to be remade, but you can see here they get really close together, and Yeah, I mean, 2 abreast through there, but nothing doing, no penalties for that. All very aggressive, but very, very clean between those 2 drivers. So Lee Cole has bumped his way up into 2nd position ahead of Pagani. Remember, Pagani's carrying out weight. That was a big off. Who was that went off the racetrack there? As we see Dusty Fossil losing the back end. He went off as well. So that was Giotto, I think, and Dusty Fossil in the space of a couple of corners, both losing the back end of their car. Was that Giotto? Maybe it wasn't. Oh, there we go. We can see ahead there. It was Joker and then Dusty Fossil, both disappearing off the racetrack after having a little foray with the wall, shall we say. Nobody likes that. So that drops Joker. And bearing in mind that Joker's currently running in the top 3 in this series, down to 11th position. So some work for him to do. There's your top 3. There is Pine. He is already 2.1 seconds clear as we begin lap 2 here at Dragon Trail in Croatia. And Lee Cole, he's got himself ahead of Pagani. Pagani currently running 8, nearly a second almost behind Lee Cole at the moment. And bear in mind that they're both carrying ballast, and it makes a massive difference. Particularly, they're going to find a struggle going uphill when they're going in a straight line, because that weight just holds that car back a little bit, and it's certainly going to make the cars around them that little bit more troubling. But talking of troubling, we can see Pagani there already troubling the back of Lee Cole, and he's getting a really good slipstream as they head down the hill here towards this 2nd big hairpin. And you'll see the road dip right away here as they head down. Got to be careful with the braking, get the braking right. You're going downhill, you want to not leave it too late. Get it turned in. You can't get the move down here, he's going to have to stay in behind. Now this is always there, when you're following this close behind, particularly into the chicane of death, you're kind of relying on the car in front of you not having a little squirrely moment and clipping that wall. Both through nice and safely. Yellow flag, Lee Cole through, and also Pagani through, because it looks like Pine had a little issue just here in the chicane of death, and through he comes. Where did he clip? And he clips, just clips that wall on the way through, and it just throws you right out, and it's dropped him. That 2.1 second lead absolutely frittered away. He's now 3.6 behind Lee Cole and back in 4th position. Massive, it's massive the damage that can do to your race back there on that chicane. Mick Astley, he is about to make a move in that Ferrari on Drox, or can he get the move done? They're side by side. Drox with the inside line, Mick Astley with that inside line, and that is Mick Astley going very, very wide, but sticks with him, still tucked in there. The 2 Ferraris going at it here in Croatia, and there's some great battling between these 2. Let's get on board. This is the view on board from Mick Astley, and you can see him getting tucked in behind that Ferrari. He's going to get a great slipstream down the hill, and up ahead that's Drox, Pine, up in 4th place, who let's see if he safely gets through the chicane of death this time. And again, you've got to be so careful going wide there, because there's a little bit of gravel just the other side of that rumble strip. Everyone taking the same line through, a little bit narrower for Drox, but a little bit of lag as well for Drox. What happened there? Or is it, I think, Mick Astley? It looks like Mick Astley is having 1 or 2 connection issues. He did disconnect during qualifying. It looks like he's having a couple of connection issues here. Little clip of the wall, or did he? Didn't he? It's very hard to tell. Sometimes when you're having a connection issue, you can't really tell whether it's what's happening is for real. So Mick Astley now getting a good run, a good exit out of here, and we could see a move on Drox here on lap 3. Up the hill we go. Gets on the power, tucked in behind, which is exactly where he wants to be. And he's trying to close in on Drox. He nearly made the move on this lap last time out. They were much closer that time though. I don't think he's going to get it done, but Drox not able to pull away from him. Into the braking zone they go. This is the first of the 3 chicanes. Can he get the move done here? Look how close. Great exit out in that Ferrari. Really trying to put the pressure on Drox, trying to force an error out of the driver ahead, that Portuguese driver. Into the braking zone. Gap left slightly open. Who gets the better exit? Very, very similar actually. The door was slightly left open. As we see Mick Astley putting in a purple sector there. Could we see this is where the move gets made? And they are great. I mean, that's the perfect way to take that corner right there. Gives you the best possible run down this hill, which is where so much time can be lost. And I can tell you that from experience. I lose a lot of time through there all the time because I am absolute turd. They've closed on the back of the Fat Dane. Pineapple Head has got ahead of him. Should have watched that, but this battle is still raging on. Pine back up into that top three. Lee Cole leads from Pagani, from Pine in third, into the chicane. Little tiny clip there, and you see the run he gets out, but couldn't capitalise on it because the clip didn't throw Drox too far out. So he was able to just hold that position, and Mick Astley has to try and have another go. Good run up the inside. He's going to get a run on him up the hill here. But again, it just seems that Drox has that extra little bit of oomph coming out of the corners. Almost like he's getting on that power that little bit faster. Mick Astley, though, doing everything in his power to close. He's a lot closer this time. Is he going to have a go into the chicane? He's up the inside. He gets on the brakes. He gets on the apex of the first part of the chicane. Can he get in the second part? He gets that job done. That's a great overtake from Mick Astley. Almost losing it there as they come out of that chicane. That Drox just has to tuck in behind. Let's see if we can get that the replay of that move. And you can see here, it's a great little move up the inside. Almost, you can see here as he comes through, he goes a little wide, but not so much that it throws his car off the racetrack. Great little move there to take fourth position, and he's holding firm as it stands. There's your race leader, Pagani. He's got ahead of Lee Cole. They both got ahead of Pine after Pine had that little coming together with the chicane of death. Lee Cole, half a second back. He's sticking with him. It's still quite a close battle here. Pine getting back involved there as well. Into the chicane of death they go. This time, everyone through clean. But it just goes to show it doesn't matter how good you are a driver. It's so easy to make an error through there or lose time. And look just how close this battle is for first, second and third at the moment. If we look here, this is the view from the back of Pine, or the chase cam of Pine. Flying my little drone behind and catching up with this. The Fat Dane, he's got a fan. There he is. There's the Fat Dane right there. He's ahead of Drox in that Ferrari. The view behind looks a little bit like this. Big gap. That battle between Drox and Mick Astley has allowed Fat Dane just to open up that gap a little bit. He can still see the back of that top three. And I've talked about this before. This is a really good position to be in when you've got a top three battling as close as that, because any little mistake, any little error, anything goes wrong for that top three. A couple of those cars are coming together, and the guy sitting here right now in fourth, and that at the moment is Fat Dane, is in such a good position to nick a position or two towards the end of the race. We are coming up to the halfway point here. Lap 6 of what will be a 12-lap sprint race here in Croatia. It is Pagani leading the way just from Lee Cole. And he's just ahead of Pine. But Pine really close to the back of Lee Cole and trying to force something as they come into the chicane of death for the 6th time, and through again cleanly, but not everyone was clean through there, and that's Pagani. Pagani has a little brush with death through that chicane. You can see he comes in here and he's pretty clean coming through this portion, but this is where it goes wrong. Loses that back end in that R8, clips that orange wall, and all change out in front. Order is restored. Lee Cole back in the lead. Pine is in second. And what did I say about being in fourth? Because there he is. Fat Dane's got himself into that top three. 1.6 clear of Pagani. But let's face it, we know Pagani's got some pace in him, that boy. So don't round him out. Don't count him out just yet. Because he absolutely knows what he's doing, this boy. Proper driver. Well, they're all good drivers, let's be fair. Every single one of them's quicker than I could ever be. Let's not forget the drivers behind. There is Drox. He's got himself back ahead of Mick Axley. That battle, I feel, is going to be one we're going to see raging on, not just for this race, but for the feature race as well after this. Behind them, 2.5 seconds back, that's Lee. He is 2.7 ahead of one Joker. Lap 1, Joker had an absolute nightmare that cost him so many places, and he's trying to battle his way back through the field, but giving himself a lot of work to do for this final 10 minutes. There is Dusty Fossil. He also had a little wobble on that lap 1. He's tucked in behind Joker, 1.1 seconds the gap. Then it is 9.7 back to Giotto and Zomlot in the pits. We'll have a look why in a minute. I'm our Bruce Lee, 6.2 back, and Zomlot into the pits. Doesn't have any problems with tyres. Wonder why he's gone in to put fresh on, because those tyres were fine. Obviously you couldn't see it, but I could. But I can tell you now, there was no real need there to replace those tyres. So wondering why that. And to boot, he's picked up a 3-second penalty as well, which is devastating, absolutely devastating. What's even more devastating is this: is that there is Zomlar in 12th. That's your leader, Lee Cole, just behind him, very, very close to the back of Zomlar, about to lap him, and they're obviously teammates as well. Look at their identical liveries, so that's not a happy time for Zomlar. But through Lee Cole comes, through comes Pine in second, through next will be Fat Dane in that Ferrari 458 when he gets a chance to. And to be fair, very, very sporting to get out of the way as he is. Pagani coming through as well. He's right tucked in now, half a second behind Fat Dane. How long can he hold him off? We know Pagani's quick. Pine with the fastest lap with a 36.3 now. That's only 0.3 of a second slower than the qualifying lap time that that Pine puts in. That's absolutely phenomenal race pace. There is Pagani trying to close that gap on Fat Gain and get himself back into the top 3. Did I say Fat Gain? Fat Gain. Yeah, I'm going to call him Fat Gain. He gets bigger every single time he races. I'm only joking, man. I'm only joking. Good evening, Paul from PM10 Racing. Evening, Giotto. Evening, Witchell. How are you? And Natasha, thanks for joining us. That's Pagani diving in the pits. He has really ruined those tyres. Absolutely. Taking chunks and chunks and chunks out of them. He does need to change out his tyres. Is it the R8 that's just so hard on them? Or is it been because he's been pushing so hard? So Lee Cole leads the way. Half a second from Pine, who's closing up that gap after his little foray with the wall early on. Is he able to make a move before they get into the chicane of death? We've got those two Corvette C7s out in front. Very, very dominant here, these cars, around the Dragon Trail circuit. This is Dragon Trail Seaside. Of course, you've got the two. You've got Dragon Trail, well, I was going to say windmills, but it's not. It's Ardegna windmills, isn't it? You've got Dragon Trail Seaside, you've got Dragon Trail, the other one, the one with the 50 pence a piece thing. I always forget what it's called. If anyone could remind me, that'd be great. But yeah, this is the best of the two Dragon Trail courses for me, and it's almost it's like in terms of the way it's shaped, it's not too dissimilar to the Red Bull Ring, but just with a few trickier chicanes. If you took out all the chicanes, it'd have probably the same amount of turns as the Red Bull Ring, to be fair, which is just 7 or 8. But there is Pine, just backed off a little. I think that's the thing about this circuit, is once you've had a little dice with death through the chicane of death, you tend to kind of err on the side of caution going through. Gardens, that's the one. Gardens, thank you, boys. Yeah, you know me, I forget the most basic stuff. I'll forget my own name if it wasn't for your help. Thank you so much. No, look, I don't know if I speak for everybody else, but I think when you do have that little brush with the chicane of death, that the next few laps after that, you tend to kind of not give it the same beans you were giving it when you did catch the wall. And I think sometimes it is worth just sacrificing a tenth or two to make sure you get through safely. We've seen the damage you can do. Pines had to fight his way back from 4th place. we've seen Pagani take absolute chunks out of his tyres. He's now back in 8th position as you see him making the move, or trying to make the move on Lee just ahead of him. Can he get the move done? At the moment, he's got Lee and Dusty Fossil right there just ahead. And I think actually that's not Dusty Fossil ahead. Is that Dusty Fossil? That's not. Dusty Fossil is a little bit further up the road. That I think is the back marker there, Zomlar, who's having an absolute nightmare today. So ahead of him, he's got the battle going on between Pagani and Lee. And Lee is not going to give this up anytime soon. Pagani's going to have to get this done the hard way. And side by side they go. He's going to have a go around the outside into this hairpin. Possibly can be. I've seen it done a few times. It does, of course, give you a little bit of a benefit on the exit because the car next to you cannot use all of that road, and he does get that job done. Oi, 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 Jimbo! How the bloody hell are you? Pagani clips that wall again. He is dicing with that, and again loses time, and allows Zomlar. Zomlar does briefly unlap himself, but to no avail as Pagani comes back through. But all that serves to do, that allows Dusty Fossil to open up that gap. 9.5 seconds now is his little gap. 2.8 behind Joker, who's now up to 5th after all that went on. Now, was there a little problem there from Fat Dane? Because it looked to me like there was some dust kicking up. Can we find out what happened to him? So there is a little move there, and he goes sideways. Very, very sideways. And then sideways the other way. And however much you'd like to think it, you can't park that there, mate. And he does get back on track, but losing out to Drox. So Drox now up into that top 3. 3.3 seconds behind Pine and Lee Cole. So with just a couple of laps, we're on lap 11. So by the time this lap's done, I think we've got possibly a lap 13 for these guys. Where are they? I think they might make lap 30, or maybe not. I think their 12 laps is about there or thereabouts. So there is Lee Cole. He is 6.8 seconds now clear of Pine. Pine's clearly had another issue. Somebody can see on that last lap with a 1:44.4. Something went wrong for him, and that has allowed Lee Cole just to open up that gap. And now Lee Cole can relax a little bit on this. It won't be the final lap. If he crosses the line now, he'll get a lap 13 as well. So there we go. So 2 more laps for Lee Cole. 2 more laps for Pine. Can Pine close at 7.1 seconds? I think it's going to be a bit of an ask. There is Drox. Drox coming up to go across the line now. And sorry, bear with me. Drox is 3.3 seconds behind Pine. Tyres are looking a little bit ropey. One joke back there. We've got one joker, 3.8 seconds behind. Behind Drox. He is 11.2 up from Pagani with the Fat Dane back in 6th position. 7/10 of a second back. apologise. When you order from the shop to be delivered between 10 and 11, I went from 1 between 10 and 11, not fucking quarter 9. Apologies. So Lee Cole does win out, 7 seconds clear of Pine, who does fall away to second. Drops in third position, just ahead of one Joker by 2.8 seconds. That's a good fight back from Joker. He had a really bad lap one. We saw him go disappearing off into a wall, but did find his way back up into that top 4. There we have it. Done and dusted race number 1. That'll set our grid for the second race. Lee Cole wins out there in the Corvette C7 with Pine just behind him. Well, I say just behind him, 7 seconds in the end almost. Drops in that 4.58. Gets a little bit lucky with some mistakes all around. One Joker in 4th place, 4 back really well after a bad first lap. Pagani in that R8 clipped the wall a couple of times going through that chicane of death. That left him out in 5th position. There we go. Sorry about that. Right. Fat Dane was in 6th place in the 4.58. He had a little error which cost him 3rd place. Then Lee in the FT1, 7th position. 8th was eTeamHARD Bruce Lee. Not a bad finish from him actually. It's a pretty solid finish in that Aston Martin. Yotto in the Corvette, home in 9th. Mick Astley in that 4.58 in 10th position. Dusty Fossil in the F-Type, way back in 11th. That was not a great finish from him. And Zomlar, who had an absolute nightmare by the looks of things, back in 12th position. 2 laps down actually from everybody else. So, yeah, bit of a pain in the arse for him, but sorted, I think. I think we'll get it sorted in race number 2. Moving swiftly on. So there we go. I do apologise for that delay in commentary in between. It was a totally unexpected shopping delivery that was supposed to be a bit later. There we go. Is what it is. Just a little message there from Drops about Mick Astley. He was a little bit laggy, but he did have a connection problem during the qualifying session. That clearly carried over into that sprint race. So we reset the grid for this 40-minute race, so double the fun here. Croatia, got to watch, really got to watch that chicane. We've had a few victims today. Pine evicted in there. We saw that a couple of times we saw the Pagani, very, very quick Pagani, we saw him come a cropper of that chicane a couple of times. Everybody's suffering a little bit with grip at one stage or another, which cost them places. But a good, solid win from Lee Cole, put himself in the right place at the right time, and despite carrying a little bit of ballast, managed to win out. And Pagani with the heaviest ballast, of course, does make your job very hard when you're trying to fight your way back through. So, onwards and upwards, we're ready for the I'll go over the points because it's an interesting point system because you get different points based on the 2 different races. So, race number 1 gives you 30 points. And then 28, 26, 24, all the way down to 12 points for 14th. And it's 50 points and then 2 points, all the way through for round number 2. So you can't, obviously you want to win out in the first round and give yourself a good half decent position for round number 2. But sometimes you've got to think tactically. And if you do drop down the order a little bit, it can help you out for round 2 for your positioning. And because it's a longer race, you're going to have to think about your tyre strategy a little bit. We certainly know that Pagani had to go in and put fresh softs on, despite the fact that most other cars managed to do it without stopping on those soft compound tyres. Pagani, though, in that R8, the R8 very, very hard on tyres pretty much all the time anyway. With qualifying, there is points for pole, 2nd and 3rd, the same for round 2, of course. Which is just, and sometimes those little additional bonus points are the things that can make a difference, particularly when it is as close as it is. They do have fully customizable gearboxes. The tuning is on. Power restricted to 540 bhp with a base weight of 1,300 kilos. which just means they've got to tweak their settings a little bit. Now, I suppose having the success ballast, it's going to change the way you set up the car, because you've got that extra weight because of how well you're performing. You do need to change the balance of your car to accommodate that, and it can mean that actually the loss isn't as bad as maybe you might think, but it's a difficult thing to do, to tune the car and get everything right, particularly if your car is a little bit underperformed compared to everybody else. So everyone should get checked in ready for the next grid. We are on round 3, of course. This is a 10 round series. We were at Spa last time out. Next time out we are at Suzuka in Japan, which it's a racetrack I hate driving. I don't know why, because it's not a bad racetrack. It's actually one of my favourites to commentate on, but actually I can't stand driving it. And I do need to give it a little bit more time and a little bit more love, because it is a great racetrack and it's an iconic racing circuit. Then we're off to Mount Panorama, which is one of my favourites, and was home of the final race of season 2, which has some great racing there. Fuji for round 6, to Interlagos in Brazil for round 7. The Glen, the Watkins Glen, long course, of course. These short courses are rubbish. The long course for round 8. Round 9 is a road at Atlanta, and then they finish round 10 at the Grand Valley Highway, which of course is the newest track on the circuit at the moment for GT7. There is an update, I believe, coming this week. That will probably just be some new cars. Do you know what would be really nice? I'll tell you what I really want. I want a Zig-a-Zig. It might be just, I don't know. It might just be your speaker, because I've got my mic sorted. Maybe it's just my voice keeps going. Who knows? Yeah, I'll tell you what I really like in the update. I'd really like to have weather information available to the commentators, so that if there is if there's a random weather scenario, I'd like to be able to know about it before. Everything on my thing is telling me it's coming through 5. I don't understand why it's not. Is that better? That to me seems worse. I'm going to fiddle in buttons and come back. Oh, there we go. How's that? That's better, isn't it? Stupid thing. I don't think this mic's as good as they claim it is. Anyway. Yeah, so what I want from... See, that's too loud now, I think. What I want from PD is I want them to give me accurate weather information. And one other thing. When I go into a room, if the last settings I had were look at certain information and not others, give me that information again. Don't make me have to keep changing it every time I go in. It makes my life so much easier. And if you could actually come to my house and do everything for me, make me a cup of tea, stroke my head, mop my brow when I'm really sweaty, and that'd be quite useful as well. Always get thrown out when things don't go to plan, like dickheads turning up an hour and a half earlier with your shopping. And there's some stuff in the shopping we didn't even order. I don't even know who knows that is. As long as we don't have to pay for it, I don't really care. I'm going to eat it anyway. Yeah, I'm leaning close to my mic, and I don't normally need to do that. Don't know. I'll get a sore neck doing it this way. Maybe I need to put it on my stand, and then it's kind of there, and I don't have to keep moving it around. Who knows? Who knows? Right, so just waiting for the new race to start, the 40-minute race. We can't, it's going to be difficult for us to look past anyone. Like Pagani, we can't look past him as a potential. We know Joker's pretty quick. I mean, Joker actually finished in 4th, but considering as well that Joker had not a great start to the previous race. Had he been up in that top 3 to start off with, we may have very well seen him involved in that battle. So don't count Joker out at this stage at all. Fat Dame was doing really well, had a couple of issues, he possibly could be in there. Even though in Drox with his third place, there's nothing to count him out. Pine as well. Pine, you definitely, and Lee Cole, definitely looking very, very quick. No, I don't want much, Jay. I want it all, and I want it now. I'm not greedy. I want everything. Hopefully, the few issues that Mick Astley were having with lag is sorted, and we no longer have that issue. That'd be awesome. But I've got to say, I'm very impressed with the way Pagani is handling that R8. I find it incredibly difficult to drive, and I don't know many super easy on, particularly on GT7. I mean, I know someone's got an Audi R8 and he doesn't particularly like it either, but that's other news. He didn't drive it around the track. So, race number 2 is about to begin our feature race of the evening, and we move swiftly on. Here at Dragon Trail. Why is that not going away? There we go. Why is that not going away? There we go. I have already plugged the events for this week. We've got, as we said, we've got the mini challenge tomorrow. We've got the daily races kind of emulation, which is happening on Wednesday, as we do begin here at Dragon Trail with Pagani off out, disappearing off into the lead. What happened there? Was there something going on behind that caused him to be so very far ahead at the beginning? It's some sort of formation lap, isn't it? What is going on? There's something wrong here. There's definitely something going on here. Everyone's backing out. So that is a red flag situation. I don't know why there's a red flag, but there is. So let's come back out of there and let's go back into the lobby for the time being. I don't quite know what happened there, but something went horribly wrong with that particular start. So we're going to try again, are we? Don't know what happened. Our Bruce Lee has decided to stay on track. There we go. He is back out. A red flag situation. Whole shebang. I'm going to try and fix my little issue that I've got here. That's that one I need. There we go. I think I've fixed my problem. So while we're waiting for this to go again, Black Flag Racing TV this week and Black Flag in general, we've got the mini challenge tomorrow, which is we might see a couple of eTeamHARD guys in that as well. Really good. Lobby's broke, so Pagani says. To be fair, there have been one of them. I've got a theory. I've got a theory, and my theory is that whenever there's an update coming, they break stuff, so that when the update comes and fixes it, it makes it look like they've done more than they actually have. It's a theory I've had since the beginning, and it's holding true, to be fair, because the lobbies haven't been great so far. Anyway, moving on. So we've got the mini challenge tomorrow. We've got the daily race extravaganza thing on Wednesday. 4 hours of daily races settings, and then on over the weekend we've got ultimate endurance. That's going to be pretty fantastic. So that is teams of 2 racing across 6 racetracks in 2-hour stints, back to back. There's still time to get involved. There still are spaces if you want to get involved. If there is, drop us a message, get involved in our Discord, and we can get you in the GR3 cars. Right, let's see if we can get crashing this time without trouble. There we go. Right. Hopefully it starts without being broken this time, because it's certainly not wasn't great previously. This is weird. So they leave that on, but they won't leave the other thing on. Right. So Pagani leads us out in that R8, and a lot closer this time, which is how you'd expect it. We've been having a great time with the lobbies thus far. So here we go. We are racing here. This is lap 1 at Dragon Trail. Pagani leads us out with Giotto just behind him in second place. Joker there in third. Can he improve on that 4th place he got in the sprint race and challenge for that top 3? At the moment, he's just staying ahead of Zomlar, who is having a little look up the inside. But I think thought better of it going into that chicane. None of the chicanes here are overtake worthy. It takes a very brave man to make an overtake through any of those, and to come out alive, of course. So Pagani leads the way from Yotto, one Joker, and Zomlar, third and fourth. In fifth place, there's Fat Dane in that Ferrari. 2.3 seconds already. His top five already starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. There is Lee in sixth, best of the rest as it stands. And he's got Pine all over the back already. Pine setting his stall out. Him and Lee Cole desperate to get through the field as quickly as possible. And they want to one will want to lose the other if they can. And Pine having a little sneaky look up the inside. Thinks better of it at the last minute, but certainly was considering. And now he's got Lee Cole right behind him. Lee Cole thinking, can I get Pine before I need to get anyone else? And that would be the ideal as they head down to the chicane of death. Are they through alive? Yes, they are. No one dies on that one through there. And we've got Nightfire joining us now. He is 1.2 seconds behind Drops. Dusty Fossil in 11th. Bruce Lee, eTeamHARD, Bruce Lee. Good finish from him actually in that last race. 1.3 seconds behind Dusty Fossil. And then Mick Astley is at the back of the pack in the Ferrari. Still looks like having some internet issues today. And so welcome to the race night 5. We didn't see you in race number 1. We're glad you have joined us this time out. Giotto making the move on Pagani. Was that an error from Pagani or was that just great racing from Giotto? And you can see here, there's Pagani as they come into the chicane. And I said, you can't make a move there. And it's almost as if to prove me wrong. Giotto does exactly that and gets that move done nice and cleanly into the chicane. So Pagani now has got to find his way back around. They're already starting to pull away. Zomlar having a much better start this time. He's back in third position and just 3/10 up the road from one Joker, holding on in fourth. Can he get himself into that top 3 and challenge maybe those front 2? There is Lee in fifth, 1.5 seconds back from that battle for the top 3. And Pine is in there. He's behind. He's ahead of Fat Dane, but still stuck behind Lee. Fat Dane has got himself ahead of Lee. And Lee Cole wants to close that gap as quickly as possible. He doesn't want to be stuck back there while Pine is disappearing off into the distance. Nightfire is in 9th place, straight in the race, diving in 9th, looking pretty racy already. 1.2 seconds behind the winner of our sprint race. Dusty Fossil rounds out that top 10 as he heads round to the complete lap 2. He's 2.4. Well, he's actually in that sort of perfect storm, 2.4 each side. 2.4 ahead, 2.4 behind is eTeamHARD, Bruce Lee. Mick Astley never giving up 1.5 seconds behind. And Drox has had an absolute nightmare because he's 1 minute 51. I'm wondering if he had a little coming together with the old chicane of death, which puts him that far back already. So Giotto, far from being caught by Pagani, he's opening up that gap, and he is 1.9 seconds now, 2 seconds clear, heading down towards this second. It's 180 hairpin at the bottom of the hill. Pagani is trying to close the gap, but it's going to be about tyres, isn't it? And you can see there, Giotto on the store, you can't see right now. Giotto's on those soft compound tyres, Pagani behind, running those mediums, which is just going to give him that longevity. He's not necessarily going to have the torque or the traction in and out of the corners that Giotto will have, but he will have longevity in those tyres. And bearing in mind just how little he got out of the softs in that sprint race, he'll, I think, prefer to be on those mediums. But already, lap 3, and there are huge signs of wear in Pagani's tyres. And actually not, he's going through them almost as much, certainly at the rears, as they are on the softs, so Giotto's softs at the front looking too great. Giotto with that fast lap, that's a 36.8, that's a pretty good lap from him actually. Zomlar still in that top 3. This is a much better performance than he had in that first race, and he is at 4.1 seconds behind Pagani, still in that top 3, but he's got a little procession of cars behind him now that is one Joker there in 4th. Pine, massive spin. What happened to him? Because he was going good guns there and really closing on the back, and here we go, into the chicane he goes. and comes out, but it looks to me that he gets a little bit too hot, and he does, just goes over that rumble strip that little bit too far over, and it just catches him out and spins his car out, and that will drop him down the order, and give him a little bit of damage to contend with, puts him down in 8th now behind Fat Dane. So all change. One Joker still running in 4th. He's got a bit of breathing room now. He's got Lee behind him, Lee Cole behind him, and 2.7. Yeah, 2.7 seconds back. In fact, oh, that's Fat Dane nearly going sideways, but holds on. 3.4 seconds. The gap now between him and the winner of the sprint race. 1.3 back to Pineapple Head, and he has got Nightfire for company all over the back of him after that little spin. Can he get his composure back? Can he get back on track and start closing down the drivers ahead of him to get himself into that top 3? There's certainly time to do it. We're only on lap 4. We're looking at somewhere around 25 laps here. And that's Fat. Is that Fat Dane diving into the pits really early? It is. He's diving in very, very early. Soft compound tyres, which is getting rid of early doors. He'll be going on to the medium compounds, which are the other tyre choice for this feature race. Yotto on those softs. He's got 2 or 3 laps left on those tyres, and I think he'll be using them to the maximum of his ability to keep that gap, which is currently 2.9 seconds to the current championship leader, Pagani. And we can see there he's on those medium tyres. He's got a lot of wear on the rears though. They're wearing almost as badly on the rear on that R8 as the softs are on everybody else's car. So not a massive gain in terms of rear end grip, but it's going to last that little bit longer with the front end. That and to be fair, flicking the back of the car around like that around every corner is not going to do those rear tyres any good at all. Zomlar having a much better race, still holding on in 3rd. He's on the medium compound tyres and doing an incredible job looking after them, but all goes wrong into that twin chicane, and he actually takes his teammate out with him. Absolutely not planned, but that went horribly wrong. Here they go into the first chicane, through pretty cleanly. You see here he clips that wall, twice clips that wall. Little touch from behind from with them there. But that was pretty darn bad for both of them. Lee Cole losing out as well. Not quite as bad for Lee Cole as it was for everybody else. Lee got caught up in that as well, but it's actually given him a bit of impetus now. 2.2 seconds ahead of Pine. And one Joker up into that top 3. Or was it, maybe it was Joker actually who got caught up in all of that shenanigan because he was in and around them. So we've got Joker up into the top 3. Lee 4.8 seconds back in 4th. There is Pine in 5th place. Again, he's ahead of Lee Cole after Lee Cole just got caught by his teammate. Nothing you could have done about that. It's one of those racing incidents where you just happen to be going through that chicane at that speed and you can't do anything to prevent it. When you lose your car there, it's what you take out whoever you take out. If they're there, they're there. It's just a racing incident. The Aston Martin of Imar Bruce Lee is in 74 seconds clear of drops and moved up to 8th place. Zomlar, after that, clipping that wall, no longer racing around at the front of the field, now finds himself in 9th place and some 2.7 seconds back from the Portuguese driver. Nightfire still inside that top 10, but only just holding on 5.2 seconds behind Zomlar. He's got Fat Dane, who's already been in the pits behind us. Fat Dane will find himself probably a bit further up in that top 10 once people start diving into the pits and the strategies start to play out. So there we go. So that's Giotto, and that's Pagani as well. And remember, Pagani's on the medium compound tyres and not getting anywhere near the kind of longevity out of them that I'm sure he would like. As we see Fat Dane there just having a little brush with the wall coming out of that chicane. And that's allowed Dusty Foster to get really, really close. Does that give him a good run? If he gets a decent run through the final turn here, up the hill, he may well have a go, but he's opted to go into the pits with those soft compound tyres. So that's Giotto in, that's Dusty Fossil in. Joker is left to his own devices out in the lead. And we're looking probably lap 10, lap 11 before we see him dive in to get those tyres changed out. Certainly a lot of wear left on his medium tyre. And he's 5.7 seconds clear of Lee running in the FT1 Supra. 1.2 seconds up from Pine, who's probably only got a lap or two left on those tyres in that Corvette. But kind of lucked out a little bit, I think, Pine. He's been caught up in a shenanigans, as has Lee Cole, as a number of drivers. But it just kind of, the cards have fallen for him. He's got himself back into that top three after everything went horribly wrong early. There is Lee Cole in fourth. Those two were the top two drivers in race number one in that sprint race. I'm going to turn the car down, sounds down a little bit, see if it makes me a little bit louder. There we go. But 3.3 seconds back to Omar Bruce Lee. Running in the Aston Martin, he's going to have to pit probably lap 8. Maybe if he didn't come in now, he'd be in lap 8. So Lee in, he's actually in probably about what you expect from third place. Lee Cole staying out for another lap on those tyres. Now, those that are making the softs last longer, I think are the ones that are going to be towards the end of this race, the ones to watch. Because they have that bit of extra grip, but they're not losing the tyres as quickly as some of those on the mediums. I'm particularly thinking, actually, of Pagani back in 6th, who, for some reason, at R8, absolutely ripping chunks out of his tyre. He's currently running 2.7 seconds behind Drox, the Portuguese driver, and 1.2 up from Zomlar, who we did see in the top 3, but unfortunately was another victim of that chicane of death. Let's go down to the back of the pack, shall we? That's Dusty Fossil, who comes out of the pits. He is running those medium tyres. He's currently running in last position, 10.9 seconds behind Mick Astley, and got some work to do. We've got to close that gap because it's another 19 seconds to Lee after he comes out of the pits. He's got a 3-second penalty across that pit line. Now that was most likely coming out, because coming in it's really quite hard to catch that line coming in, because you've got such a good run at it from that final corner. So very likely he caught that on the way out, and that's a 3-second penalty that he'll serve not too long before he serves that either. As Joker finally into the pits for his first pit stop. That's Nightfire getting it all kinds of wrong. You can't park that there, mate. And here you can see it goes down into the chicane, and again, same part of the racetrack, catching everybody out. And it seems to be that if you clip the wall going into it, that's where it, and look at that, all kinds of many cars just sneaking through. But that always seems to be catching everybody out. Every single car, I think, now has had some sort of brush with death through that part of the racetrack. And if this was actually a real racetrack, they would have taken that chicane out years ago. So that leaves Zomlar. I don't know why I sounded so surprised. Zomlar in the lead of the race, and he's got Pagani all over the back of him. Zomlar is still, of course, the pit, but he's got Pagani all over the back of him. And Drox disconnected. I don't know what happened to him there, but the lobby issues are continuing, and Drox is out of this race now. So Zomlar leads the way, but Pagani absolutely all over him. And having pit already, he's going to be staying out a little bit longer, and he's having a look up the inside into the hairpin. Does he get him under brake? We've seen him make a move like this already in the sprint race, and he gets that job done. Although the pressure he's putting on his rear tyres, and I don't know if Paul's still watching, but Paul does a lot of track guides and stuff like that, and talks about smooth driving, that kind of thing. And from your opinion, Paul, I mean, if you're watching this, that's horrible for your tyres racing like that. Surely it's not the quickest way around a racetrack, using your rear tyres with such a, or letting it flick out quite so much. Could be wrong. I could be. What do I know? I drive like half this pace. So Pagani does get ahead. He does lead this race, and he's starting now to pull out a gap from Zomlar. Excuse me. Giotto up to third, 5.7 seconds behind Zomlar. I think once Zomlar goes into the pits, we'll see where everybody who hasn't pitted. So Zomlar hasn't pit. Lead has Nightfire now into the pits. He's finally pitting. Everybody else now, other than Zomlar, has been in and changed out their tyres. Pagani from mediums to mediums. I think his next change is going to be to mediums again. 15 minutes into this 40 minutes race. We're on lap 10 here at Dragon Trail Garden, Dragon Trail Seaside, not Gardens, I'm talking about. Couldn't remember the name of it earlier. Now I'm calling this track that one. Pagani does lead the way with 1.7 seconds over Zomlar, who's going into the pits. If not this lap, certainly next lap. His fuel would suggest probably this lap. Yotto, 3.2 back, but he's 5.8 behind Pagani. So Pagani's starting now to pull out a little bit of a gap. And being that he is the current championship leader, that does no end of favours to his title hopes here in round 3. Little clip of the wall for Yotto. That'll slow him down somewhat. But the gap back to Joker at the moment is 5.5 seconds. And his biggest concern isn't the car ahead. It's this car just behind him of Lee. And behind Lee is Fat Dane. So you've got these 3 cars vying for 4th position, or it actually will be 3rd position when Zomlar finally does decide he wants to pit. And you can see ahead there's Lee up the inside making a move on one Joker, and it makes that one move stick, and that's it, him up into which will be, as they cross this line, 3rd position. And a great view there from Fat Dane's car as that move gets made as we begin lap 11. So all change out there in the top 3. Lee and Joker battling it out for 3rd position. You can see there Joker having a little look up the inside, but thinking better of it through this chicane. There is Pine, 5 seconds back from Fat Dane in that pink Corvette. And 4.9 clear of Lee Cole. He'll want to stay ahead of him. He got beat out by Lee Cole in that sprint race. So we'll want desperately to beat him. We'll desperately to beat everybody else. But particularly to beat him in revenge for that last particular race. I'm our Bruce Lee in that Aston Martin, 4.3 behind. He's got himself a nice little gap now. It's starting to spread out a little bit after this pit window. There is Mick Astley, 5.4 seconds. Zomlar now, 10.5 seconds. And he's picked up that dreaded penalty. But Dusty Fossil might not need the penalty to get the move done. He is right up behind that car right now, and he can quite easily, with a decent run down this hill, use that slipstream to make a move, or possibly dive up the inside when they get to the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, which they'll be coming up to not too much longer. And here they go. You can see there he's tucked in behind. It's only 0.3 of a second. Good run down the hill here, and he's up the inside, side by side they go, under braking. Thinks better of it actually, and Dusty Fossil pulls out and lets Zomlar make that move and stay ahead. But he knows Zomlar's going to have a penalty to serve, and that's just going to allow him to breeze on through. So he can bide his time here and can wait to see what Zomlar does. He doesn't have to get this move done early. So there we go, penalty served. Zomlar slows down, and through comes Dusty Fossil, although he was a bit slow coming out of the chicane there, so only just gets ahead. Very nearly lost out. Nightfire back in 12th position. He's 5.3 seconds behind that battle, and of course he's running last place now because we lost what was his name? We lost the other guy. My memory's awful. I should really get my memory checked. Okay, so there's your race leader. He'll be back in the pit shortly, though. He's 6.2 seconds clear as it stands. His fastest lap thus far is a 37.6, which is, not far off. It's almost a second. It's 0.8 slower than Yotto, who did a 36.8 in that first stint. But he's going to have to pit in the next couple of laps because these medium tyres are just not working out for him on that Audi R8. There is Yotto, looking pretty good at the moment. He is 7.2 behind Pagani, but will regain that position. And right now, because Pagani actually goes in now on lap 12. So through comes Yotto to take the lead of this race. Doesn't have to do anything to take the lead, just has to be there on that racetrack, and through he goes. We'll see Lee go through. He's up into second. good running from him thus far. He's on those softs as well. And looking after them really, really well. They're holding out quite good for him there on that FT1. Fat Dane, there he is. What's going on there? That was some craziness. Okay, so clearly something going on with the lobby, because that showed Pine diving all over the place and flying. So yeah, there's clearly some issues with the lobby. That wasn't an issue. That is a full-on spin. Round and round he goes. And you can see what happens here. Catches the grass there, which unsettles the car a bit, but he recovers. Through here, but again, wide there, and just the car just so unstable at the rear that if you get it wrong, things like that happen, and that's cost him. That's cost him quite a lot of places. He was in the top 3. So all change again. Joker back into that top 3, 6.5 behind Lee. He's got Fat Dane all over the back of him like an unwanted rash. 1.2 seconds to Lee Cole, winner last time out, and he's got Pine just 3 seconds behind him after that spin, and not his finest hour, Pine, there with that spin, but back in 6th position he goes. Excuse me. Pagani comes back out in 7th place. He's 2 seconds now behind Pine. 2.8 ahead of Imar Bruce Lee. Out in the lead, it's Yotto. Still out there. He's 7.2 clear of lead as Fat Dane into the pits for his 2nd stop here. We're just past the halfway point. Lap 14. And it's all change. And certainly there's some drivers in the top 3 that we wouldn't necessarily have expected to be in there. And that's not any slight on the quality of the drivers. It's just a fucking fact, to be brutally honest. I'm joking. Yeah, do you know what, Jay? You're absolutely right. So this isn't the first time actually we've seen lobby issues here at Dragon Trail Seaside, because if you look on the Black Flag page, there's actually a video of Harry Arco in the flying Porsche, but that was one individual driver though, Jay. I'm not sure that was the lobby. That was only him. We've seen issues with a couple of drivers here, which maybe is something different. But yeah, if you want to see some of the worst lag imaginable, there is a video on here of it was from the Porsche Cup event. The less we say about it. But yeah, it was absolutely awful. He was flying all over the place. Crazy stuff. Yotto, there we go. Hit 4.4. No, he's not. He's 7.7 seconds clear, and into the pits he goes. That will promote Lee to the lead if he stays out, which he doesn't. He dives into the pits as well here on lap 14. Lee Cole, he'll stay out. He'll come through. He'll take the lead of this race. Joker will join him out there on the racetrack, and Pagani now back up into the top 3 he goes. And there he is with his best lap of the race thus far, 37.0. So starting to eke into that lap time set by Yotto very early on. Pine up to 4th. Imar Bruce Lee is up to 5th. We've got Yotto, Lead, Mick Astley all in the pits. Nightfire, can he gain a couple of positions here? He pit a few laps earlier. He'll come through. He should get past Mick Astley, who's currently sitting stationary, and he does. So Lead comes out in 7th ahead of Nightfire, 8.2 behind Yotto. So actually that gap bigger than it was before they went in. Did Yotto put less fuel in the right? No, but he must have had more on board to start with. So your race leader now is the winner of the sprint race, but he has yet to pit, and he will do so, I imagine, somewhere around lap 16, probably lap 17 actually, looking at his tyre and fuel wear. He's got Joker with him. Joker does need to pit again at some stage between now and the end of the race. Can he hold out for one more stop? Probably will. They are 2.9 ahead of Pagani, and this is a man on a flying mission. We saw him have a couple of run-ins with the wall in that first sprint race. He's having to pit really early. He's not getting much out of these tyres at all. And he's on the racing softs now. He was only getting 6 laps out of the mediums. So actually, if he manages to get 5 out of the softs, he's probably better off staying on them for the extra pace that they give him, the extra traction out of the corners, the extra couple of yards he can wait before he gets on the brakes. But he's absolutely ruining the rear tyres. Just the way he flicks the back of that car around every corner, almost like rallying that R8. Pine 1.1 behind. He's on the medium compound tyres. Will be pitting again somewhere around lap 17 or 18, which will take him to the end of the race. 26 minutes in, we're past that halfway point. Almost 3/4 through this race here at Dragon Trail. And it's 3.5 almost miles of quite frantic. It's basically chicane after hairpin. So it's all about braking and throttle control pretty much the entire race, with a couple of straights thrown in just to give you a breather. Your leader Lee Cole is not having it all his own way. Joker is staying absolutely there with him, within that 1 second gap. Through the chicane safely? Yes, they are. Well, I'm just waiting for somebody else to have a little event through there. There is Pagani. He's starting to close the gap on that top 3. Now, he has been pitting a lot earlier than everybody else. Lee Cole, I think, will probably come in this time round. Yes, he does. You have to get in really early to avoid, of course, getting that 3-second penalty. Joker staying out. He's got a couple of laps left in him. Pagani's got a lap or 2 left in him. And then they're going to pit to the end of this race. Remember, Pagani is going to probably have to pit again with how badly those tyres are performing for him so far. Pine, I think he'll probably see what they do. It'll be a case of, if they pit, I'll pit. He could maybe do an extra lap on Pagani, but I think he'll just match whatever they do in terms of strategy, and then it's just purely all about pace. I'm our Bruce Lee. He's going to have to pit at the end of this lap. That's why he doesn't have to. He could stay out another lap, but I think he'll be pushing it in terms of fuel. But he heads round now, currently in 4th, and that's a good run from him in the Aston Martin. 13.6 seconds clear of Yotto, who was leading the race at one stage in that Corvette, but and still does have the fastest lap, but hasn't been able to sustain that level of pace over the course of this whole race. There is Lee, who also was leading this race at one stage, albeit briefly. He's cut the gap down to Yotto to 6.1 seconds, so he's closing on the back of Yotto, but they've all got to pit again. So, actually, maybe he doesn't. I'm looking at those tyres. He might be able to hold out quite close to the end here. It certainly gets a lot more out of the soft tyres than most. Nightfire, there he is running in 7th position. He's 4 seconds back. There's Joker into the pits. There's Pagani. He goes in. What is Pine going to do? Pine goes in as well. I said that they will all go in, follow each other in. So, interesting to see what tyres goes on. Because if Pagani puts on the softs, he will have to pit again. If he puts on the mediums, he still might have to pit again. It's going to be close, because he's only getting about 6 laps out of those medium compound tyres. So everybody in, other than Yotto staying out. And he's going to run to the end of the race on those medium tyres. Pagani comes back out in 2nd. He's gone for the medium compound tyre. There are 6 laps in that medium compound for him. So he needs the race to be 6 laps long. If it's 7, he's going to be finishing this race on some very, very ropey looking tyres. And I think we're going to see a battle to the line here. Yotto from lead, from Pagani, from 1 Joker. Nightfire up to 5th. Those medium tyres, though, will they hold out for the last 10 minutes of this race? We're on lap 18 here. We've had the sprint race, that was 13 laps. We've had 18 laps here already. We've still got another 10 minutes of racing, which is probably going to be about 6 or 7 laps. There is Pine. He's come out on the soft compound tyres. He can take those to the end. Fat Dane's on the mediums. He'll take those to the end. Fuel's going to be a bit ropey towards the end of that, but 3.2 seconds outside that top 6. But a decent gap to Imar Bruce Lee, who's going to take those softs to the end of this race. Lee Cole Early leader and absolutely dominating in the sprint race, but back in 9th. And while he's got the tyres and fuel to make it to the end, he's 29 seconds off the leaders at the moment. So significant work needs to be done from him to get himself into the big points for this feature race. Zomlar, he is running in just outside that top 10. He might have to pit again with those medium compound tyres. Keep an eye on that, because I'm not sure they're going to hold out. I don't think he's going to hold out on fuel. So we will see him going again, which will promote Mick Astley into that top 10. 24 seconds, currently the gap back to Dusty Fossil, who's not having a great time. His lap times aren't that far off the pace, to be fair. So for steady 39s, but yeah, it's just not working out for him here. Zomlar into the pits, so that will allow Mick Astley through. Will Dusty Fossil be close enough to gain that position? Can't go to the end of the race, so it's whether he can get past Zomlar at this stage. Who knows? We should probably keep an eye on that, shouldn't we? That's Mick Astley in 10th. That's Zomlar in the pits still. Dusty Fossil has come through. He will take 11th place, or will he? It's going to be close. That is Dusty Fossil there, just ahead. That's Zomlar. He's not up to speed though. Those tyres aren't quite warm enough. Is he going to be under pressure from Dusty Fossil on those much grippier tyres while he gets those tyres up to speed? Dusty Fossil needs to get this move done before Zomlar has a chance to get the warmth into those brakes, into those tyres, and back up to full speed. Doesn't look like he's going to get it done, Zomlar, already. Oh, that went horribly wrong from Zomlar. What went wrong there? Cold tyres is what went wrong. You can see here he heads up the hill, turns it in, and as he turns it in, the back end tries to step out, and he has to let go, then gets a little clout from behind from Dusty Fossil for just for the fun of it, which actually probably saves him from losing that position to Dusty. And but Dusty still takes it in the end anyway. So Nightfire diving in from 8th place, dropping him down to 9th place. Now there he is, into the pits on those mediums. He's putting fuel on board. So does Dusty and Zomlar get through? I think the gap's a bit too big. It's almost a free pit stop for him for those two. Keeps him just inside that top 10, and out he comes with some significant cushion. So lap 20 here of 25 laps? I don't know. We had 13, didn't we? So yeah, I think 26 laps. So here we go. Yotto leads 6.5 seconds from Pagani, whose tyres need to hold out for 6 more laps to get him to the end of this race. We haven't seen him have tyres last that long thus far. Well, they have just lasted that long thus far. Whether they can last any longer is another matter completely. One Joker, 3.6 seconds behind Pagani, and 3.6 seconds ahead of Pine, running in 4th. 9.5 seconds is the gap to Fat Dave, who's holding the lead off at the moment. Now, Lee is on those soft compound tyres, but there's some question over whether he can get those tyres to take him to the end of this race. He's really put some pressure through those, and they're looking pretty angry already, and he's still got a few laps to go, so he might actually have to pit again. And I thought he might be able to run to the end, but they're just not holding out, these soft tyres. Really going through them at the moment. Yotto still leading 6 seconds the gap over Pagani. Pagani he should be able to run to the end now. Yotto also, it's whether Pagani can hold on though, that's the problem, because we know how quickly that R8 will rip through those tyres. eTeamHARD Bruce Lee, he's on the soft compound tyres with 6 laps to go. Tucked in at the moment behind him is Lee Cole, right there, also on the soft compound tyres. He's got a little bit more work to do to preserve those to the end. Half a second behind eTeamHARD Bruce Lee. Now, does he kind of sit in there? in the hope that a couple of cars ahead are going to go in, and maybe try and preserve tyres and preserve fuel to get him closer to the end so he doesn't have to pit. Because considering the pit lanes are kind of quite a simple in-out without too much palaver, it does seem to take an extraordinarily long time, much longer than you would expect. And through the chicane they come, and this is going to be tight. Very tight, because he does clip the wall. I'm our Bruce Lee, and that allows Lee Cole just to move through. You can see it's so brutal, so brutal. You can see it here, and we go on board, and you come through clean here, and it's all about this bit. And you want to get really tight to both sides, but you get one of them wrong, and that's what happens. And it's so difficult to recover from, so difficult. Everybody at some stage has come a cropper for that wall. Yotto still holding on. It's lap 22. There are 3.5 minutes left of this race. He's 4.8 seconds clear. Pagani is absolutely chunking into that time and trying to find a way to close that gap to first position. One Joker 8.9, 9 seconds back now from Pagani, and trying really desperately to improve on that 4th position from the sprint race and get himself into the big points with the big boys. But Pine's going to have other things to say about that, because Pine's been showing phenomenal pace despite having a few issues here and there. Back end just stepping out, he does hold it quite well in that distinctively pink Corvette, and he's tucked right up behind Joker, and Joker has a little wobble, but not enough for Pine to get through. And so it's so frustrating. You can see here, being tucked right in behind. He's got a really good run. Inside line being defended, and of course when you're defending, that actually scrubs off some speed. Now lead is 14 seconds back, so I think we're close enough to the end for lead not to have an opportunity to really close on these, unless of course something goes horribly wrong into the chicane. But here we go, as Pine pulls out the move on Joker up the inside, does get a little love tap, but manages to quickly come across and defend the inside into chicane number 1. But look at Joker with a much better run up the hill. He's going to have the inside line into this section here, gets that move done, he's back up into the top 3, and these two are going to battle it out to the end. Another little reminder that he's there. The back end of the R8 stepping out a little bit again for Joker, and they come around. They're going to have to lift through here. Is it going to be about bravery into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill as they start to head down now with that slipstream advantage for Pine? Again, the back end of that Corvette getting very brave. Up the inside, he's going to put it. He does make the move. Under braking, can he make it stick? So many times we've seen the car around the outside have the advantage here. And again, just holding on, Joker, as they head into the chicane for lap 23. Do they get through clean? This is when you normally see problems. If you're in that slipstream as well, you just have to be a little less brave through there. But he gets such a good run, Pine. He's going to be around the outside now, because Joker is absolutely going to hold off on the apex. He does not want to give Pine any gap up the inside. Holds him off, gets the run. Again, Pine's going to have a run at him into the first chicane. Across the line they go. That's the end of lap 23. This is the final lap of the race, and we have a battle on for 3rd and 4th. Very quickly, there's your leader Yotto. He's 1.6 clear. Pagani may well catch him. We'll keep a little eye on that. But at the moment, this is the battle. One Joker and Pine. Pine again ahead. One Joker gets it all kinds of wrong. And I think that has given Pine the final advantage here. And you can see here, as they run up to the chicane, the move gets made. We look back here, he loses that back end. Pine sees that little gap open, dives up that inside, and again just a little bit too brave on the loud pedal, and goes horribly wrong for Joker, and he finds himself in 4th place. So here we go, here's the chase down. There is Yotto just behind him. There's Pagani. We have got just 7 corners remaining, and this race is not over. They are racing to the line. Yotto holding Pagani off. He has been this whole race, but how long can he do it now? He's got just a few corners remaining. Their safety through the chicane. It's a run down to the final corner, and he's got to defend this inside line, Yotto, because Pagani is absolutely good. Look at he didn't move across and defend, and Yotto, for some reason, stays on the outside and just allows Pagani to breeze through up the inside. Of Pagani is going to take the win here. Did Yotto run out of fuel? He has. Yotto's run out of fuel. He couldn't sustain it and loses out to Pagani. So Pagani takes the win. Yotto coming home in second. Or does he? Here comes Pine. Pine nicks it on the line from Yotto where he runs out of fuel. Joker cannot capitalise. He finishes in fourth. What a finish from Pine. Yotto led this race. He had the fastest lap. No right to lose that from there, but the fuel just didn't hold out. Lee Cole comes home in fifth. Lee home in sixth. That's a 7th place finish for eTeamHARD Bruce Lee. Nightfire will bring it home in 8th position. Fat Dane in 9th. Mick Astley in 10th. Zomlar 11th. And Dusty Fossil bringing up the rear. What a finish that was. Again, another last lap finish. That's a few races now where we've finished with a flourish. But the flourish is all about Pagani in that R8. 1:37.0, his fastest lap. He didn't break that 1:37 barrier in that race, but he did win out over Pine. And Yotto was leading until the very last corner, and then the fuel gave out, and that allowed Pine right on the line to steal second place. So a good finish from him in the end. Perseverance paying out dividends. Joker finishing in 4th position. Couldn't hold off Pine in that final stint. Lee Cole comes home in 5th in the Corvette. Lee in that FT1 VGT home in 6th. eTeamHARD Bruce Lee in 7th in the Aston Martin V12. Nightfire in his 458. Italia comes home in 8th. 9th was Fat Dane in the 458, and another 458 with Mick Astley in 10th. Zomlar in the final Corvette in 11th place. Dusty Fossil in the F-Type in 12th. And 13th place, but my name's forgotten, is the Portuguese driver Drox, who had a DNF in that 458 Italia. But absolutely right. I saw you ran out of fuel, mate. It was absolutely gutting. But yes, cracking race, Nightfire. You're absolutely right. Another solid finish. So there we go. Done and dusted for another week. If you want to join me tomorrow, it is the brilliant mini challenge here on Black Flag Racing TV. 3 15-minute races in some souped up minis around some of the iconic short tracks with ECU restrictions for the first race winners, or the first top 3, which makes for some brilliant finishing. But thank you very much for joining me. It's been an interesting start to the week. But we've got loads going on. Don't forget, this weekend is the Ultimate Endurance Championship, which is 6 hours back to back. Sorry, 6 tracks back to back. 12 hours of racing. 2 teammates doing 2-hour stints back to back, 3 courses each, for a massive endurance event. There is a couple of spots left if you want to get involved. You just need 2 drivers in a GR3 car. Every car is different. Once a GR3 car is picked, it's off the list. Full list is available on the Discord, or what isn't available. Registered teams then you register your team first, then you get to pick your car. I can tell you there's still some cracking cars available. But nothing more to say other than thank you very much for joining me for this brilliant event for GT Invitational. Tomorrow it is the mini challenge. We will see you here on Black Flag Racing TV for that. I've been Empire, and it's been emotional.